You are listening to the Weeknight Mysteries podcast. I am Eurus, your host. I'm here with the co-host Rain. How are you?
Hello again, everyone. Once again, I'm feeling completely fine. How are you today?
I didn't even ask how you feel, but you already.
Oh, hey, you asked how are you?
Oh, did I? Oh
Yeah.
man. Okay. Today we're gonna be talking about the Khamar Daban incident. So Khamar Daban, it's basically a location in the Siberian part of Russia. And in 1993, something strange happened. Um, it's kind of similar to the Dyatlov Pass incident. Uh,
How many years apart were they?
so Dyatlov Pass happened in 59, and the incident that we're going to be talking about today happened in 1993. So I would say, how much is that? Like 34 years?
Pretty big chunk.
Yeah, so in August of 1993, veteran hiking instructor Lyudmila Korovina, she led her 6 young trainees into the Siberia's Khamar Daban mountain range. After good initial progress, the group was caught in days of freezing rain, leaving them soaked, cold, and exhausted. On August 6th, during their descent from around 2,000 meters in altitude, 23-year-old Alexander Krysin, one of the hikers, suddenly collapsed. He started bleeding from his eyes and mouth. He was convulsing, and he died within minutes. The instructor, Lyudmila Korovina, she attempted to help him out, but soon suffered the same symptoms, and she died as well. One by one, the remaining hikers, Tatiana Filipenko, Viktoriya Zalesova, Timur Bapanov, and Denis Shvachkin, they all collapsed violently, some clawing at their throats, vomiting blood, tearing at their clothes, or bashing their heads against the rocks. Very violent and horrific scene. Valentina Utochenko was the only survivor. She fled the scene and wandered for 4 days before Ukrainian kayakers rescued her. When the rescuers found the bodies several weeks later, they were badly decomposed, partially undressed, and in light clothing despite the cold weather. The official cause was listed as hypothermia for 5 and a heart attack for the leader of the group, Miss Korovina, with protein deficiency as a factor leading to their death. The dramatic symptoms described by the sole survivor, Valentina, remains unexplained, giving rise to several theories ranging from severe hypothermia and altitude sickness to things like, the cover-up stuff like nerve agent exposure, contaminated water from the nearby Lake Baikal, potential mushroom poisoning, cyanide traps, and even secret military experiments. This case is still a mystery without any sort of unofficial explanation. We have the official explanation being the hypothermia, and heart attack. But honestly, I feel like there's probably enough here to say that we don't know for certain what happened.
Yeah, it's very mysterious and very eerie. You know what I mean? They were already in the middle of nowhere and something like this happened. We'll definitely never know what would be the exact cause of that, but at the same time, it's just, I would say this is even creepier than the Dyatlov Pass. What do you think?
The Dyatlov Pass seemed like more easy to explain in terms of when you think about the logical, like the more rational explanations. But according to the sole survivor, Valentina, I mean, it kind of feels like a horror movie.
Yeah, that's my first thought as well. It feels like It feels like a plot of a horror movie.
Doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
I think let's talk a little bit about the background. So, Khamar Daban, it's a mountain range in southern Siberia. So, to give you a better perspective where this is happening, this is already far away from, the European part of Russia. This is nowhere near Moscow. Or
Is it in the middle of Russia? Like in the middle of nowhere in
I would say it's
mid-Russia?
not even mid Russia, it's already on the
East.
eastern part of Russia.
Okay.
So this mountain range where they were trekking is in southern Siberia. It's actually in the Republic of Buryatia. So Russia, as you may know, is divided into republics. There's specific republics within Russia.
Kind of like states.
Yeah, sort of. I think they have more legal power than, or like, let's say, more legal autonomy
Yeah.
compared to regular Russian cities, which, have to follow the, centralized Russian government. Obviously,
Yeah.
these republics also have to follow certain, laws, but I think they have their own thing to a certain extent. So the I don't know much of Bratia, and I would guess that you never heard about it either, because I never heard about it
No.
either.
No, not at all.
It's one of those lesser known Russian republics, because I've heard about the more well known Russian republics like Dagestan and Chechnya, but this one is kind of interesting because it's really tucked away quite deep into the eastern part of Russia. The hiking location is a popular tourist hiking spot. In the summer of 1993, so, this is quite fresh out of the Soviet Union. Soviet Union collapsed early 90s, so this was already after the collapse. Lyudmila Korovina of the Petropavl Azimut Tourist Club from Kazakhstan. These are not, as I understand, Russians that are going on the hike. These are Kazakh people that are basically they took a train to get to Russia and to go hiking there. Well, Lyudmila, she was an experienced hiking instructor. She held the rank of Master of Sport in Hiking. This is, I believe, a Soviet Union designation that basically tells everyone that you are an elite
Yeah.
hiker. She planned a hiking trip to the Khamar Daban mountains. She was joined by 6 of her students who have trained with her for this trip. Lyudmila was known for her tough love on her students. She was often pushing them very hard. So the whole group consisted of Lyudmila Korovina, who was 41, and she was the oldest of the group. Tatiana Filipenko was 24, Alexander Krysin was 23, Denis Shvachkin was 19, Valentina Utochenko, the sole survivor, was just a 17-year-old girl at the time, Viktoriya Zalesova was 16, and Timur Bapanov was the youngest. He was only 15 years of age.
15 in hiking.
Yeah.
Traveling and hiking in such a, how would I say, remote location. Things were really different back then, huh? I mean, I'm not saying like 15-year-old these days wouldn't do it. It's just that we're more connected now, you know what I mean?
This is all, yeah, I know what you're saying. Sorry. This is all happening like before anyone even had any phones or anything.
Yeah, and I'm just imagining myself at 15 years old traveling to Russia in such a remote location.
And also
It's not easy.
in Russia in the 90s, which was
Right after Soviet Union.
it was not as well, you know,
Established. Well,
yeah, even let's say established.
everything
it-
just fell apart, basically.
Everything fell apart, and then you're going into this country.
No, maybe it's their thing. Maybe it was their thing. Like, they were doing it for fun. They were very passionate about it. It's just that for me, like, as a 15-year-old, man, that's a serious decision to be made. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the group of 7 hikers, yeah, they arrived initially in the city of Yakutsk by train. Yakutsk is a pretty big city, I would say. It has 500,000 people living there. It's kind of interesting. I tried to Google a little bit about it. I've heard about it in the past, but I'm always kind of curious how is like this really sizable city, you know, like the size of Cleveland,
Just
is
in the middle of Russia.
Siberia, just
Oh my
tucked
God.
away.
That's insane.
And it just works that way, you know. I guess there's things to do there. Lyudmila Korovina's hiking group was one of 3 hiking groups in the area. There was another hiking group which was led by Lyudmila's daughter, Natalia. So, starting on the 2nd of August, the trip led from the village of Morino along the Langutai River through the Langutai Gates Pass, along the Barun Yunkatutsk River, up the Kanulu Mountain, and along its ridge, ending on the watershed plateau of the Anikta and Baiga rivers. Okay, it's a lot to swallow here.
So much names. All I could say is that I checked the pictures and the scenery is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it has a very, let's say, Siberian look. It looks distinctively Siberian.
Yeah, but it's absolutely gorgeous though. Like, I could understand people going here.
Yeah, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
Lyudmila's group was meant to cross paths with her daughter's, Natalia's group, on August 5th. So I think this would be like 3 days into the trek. The whole location was a popular tourist spot, and it was considered a very safe place to hike, especially in the summer. There were obvious dangers attached to it, but still, it was considered safe. Lyudmila's students had trained with her for the trip for a month, and she was very close to all of them. The first of the 6 and the closest one to Lyudmila was the 23-year-old Alexander Krysin. Lyudmila had known Alexander for most of his life and considered him to be almost a son to her. The first 2 days of the hike turned out to have gone better than the group had planned. I guess they made progress faster than they initially thought. But when they came up to the Retnosliator peak on August 4th, as they were beginning their descent, they were hit with an unexpected rainstorm. So imagine day and night pouring cold rain, clothes and tents are wet, campfires are hard to start. On the Khamar Daban, the campfire is kinda hard to start even when the weather is normal. Everything was raw, and here we have a few days of rain all day long. By August 5th, the guys were tired and cold, says Vladimir Zharov, famous journalist and experienced traveler who had also went to the location after the fact to take a look what happened. Lyudmila decided to make camp in an exposed location during this rainstorm, with the group failing at an attempt to build a fire that same night. Why the hikers did not descend into the forest is still a mystery. So, I have no idea why they decided to start the campfire.
Could be a survival thing. No?
Do you
I
think
mean,
as a challenge?
no, not really. More of like maybe they were. Honestly, take this with a grain of salt because my only survival experiences are from YouTube. but maybe there's some logic behind it. Because to be honest, like, who was that guy that we were watching? Survivor Man? Oh, Survivor Man. Remember?
Les Stroud.
Yeah, I remember he had this episode when he was in a rainforest and it started raining. He actually went like under a tree. Logically. Like, so there would be less water, you know. But anyways, I'm just trying to understand why they would be in such an exposed area. And my first thought was that maybe there was a helicopter. I don't know.
That was about to rescue them?
Like rescuers would see them like quicker.
So they never signaled any alarm. So I don't think the rescue was never on the way.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense.
There's no reason, as far as I can tell, to stay in that open.
Exposed area, right?
Yeah. So the sole survivor, Valentina Utochenko, said that they stopped at a height without a forest. They pitched 2 tents. At 4 a.m., the tent lines broke. They fixed the tents. Then 2 hours later, at 6 a.m., the stake was torn out. So the sleeping bags were all wet.
Oh, so this rain wasn't. It was serious.
It was-
Like, it seemed like the wind was picking up as well.
It was serious and unexpected. So the group managed to build a fire in the morning of August 5th, and they ate breakfast together before continuing their path. So immediately,
I have no idea how they managed to do it. And still eat breakfast and then go forward and be like, you know what, guys, this is it for me. Probably like go back. And I'll continue with the hike, right?
I don't even know if you can even go back at that point
Really?
because they're days into the trek.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not like they're
They just started.
Yeah.
Right? No, because I'm just curious, like, which would be the easier way out? Going from where you came from or continuing the trek?
That's a good question. Honestly, maybe it would have made sense for them to turn back.
At that point.
Yeah. I wonder what they had for breakfast that day on August 5th. Because they had breakfast and we're going to get into it a little later, but
No fire. Breakfast and no fire.
they had a fire in the morning.
Oh, they managed to. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to get into it later, but there's some discussions happening online that maybe they were picking up mushrooms. And perhaps they chose the wrong mushrooms.
But these are trained individuals, though. It's not like they were training for months. And who was the leader again? What was her name?
Her name is Lyudmila Korovina.
It seems like she was doing this for years. So I doubt that there were so many of them in that hike that I doubt that, I don't know if they picked up mushrooms. Experienced hiker picking up random mushrooms, and one of them, I guess mistakes could happen, but it feels like an amateur mistake if that actually happened, you know?
Well, there are some certain types of mushrooms that I looked into it. It's called the Death Angel or something. Maybe not the Death Angel. Sorry, I'm forgetting something. There is a type of mushroom that's extremely poisonous, and in its early stages, it kind of looks like those
Common ones.
common, like, mushroom pockets, or what's it called? Like the white type of mushroom that we have here,
Yeah.
you know, the ones. So it kind of looks very similar, but it's extremely toxic in its early stages. And it looks similar in its early stages.
But I wonder why Valentina survived if that's the case. If they all ate it, maybe she skipped it?
Maybe she skipped it. Or maybe they never ate any mushrooms.
Yeah, maybe it was completely something else.
So this was August 6th already, and this was 4 days into the trek. According to Valentina, the girl who survived, after they had breakfast, they began their descent down the mountain at an altitude of 2,400 meters or almost 8,000 feet. At about 11 o'clock in the morning, Alexander Krysin, who was at the back of the group, started screaming. When everyone turned to look at him, he was bleeding from his eyes and ears. He was frothing at the mouth. He fell to the ground, convulsing, and then went still. Lyudmila, who, let's remember, Alexander was like a son to her. She ran to his aid and instructed the other remaining hikers to continue down to the tree line. She, I think, made the right decision according to sources by instructing them to go down. Lyudmila was desperately trying to revive Alexander, but she too began exhibiting the same symptoms as him. She convulsed and then collapsed on top of Alexander. The rest of the group had not gone far before they heard Lyudmila's screams and quickly returned to help her. Tatiana Filipenko, who had gotten to Lyudmila first, was the next one to collapse. She also started grabbing at her throat as though she couldn't breathe. She crawled over to a nearby rock and started bashing her head against the rock until she went limp. Valentina proceeded to grab Viktoriya and tried to take her to the tree line, as was initially instructed by Lyudmila, the most senior instructor. But Viktoriya started heavily resisting Valentina's attempts. Remember, Valentina is the girl who ended
Survived.
surviving. There are different reports. One report states that there was a series of different of events that differ, and one other report says that Lyudmila, the instructor, didn't pass out until Tatiana Filipenko came over to help to move the unresponsive Alexander, who had, caved in first, and ordered Valentina to keep going to the tree line with the others, which is why Valentina grabbed Viktoriya. And only after looking up to complain about Viktoriya, because Valentina was about to complain to Lyudmila, the instructor, that, Viktoriya doesn't want to go, Tatiana was starting to bash her head up to the rock. And at that point, all hell broke loose. So this is how different reports are stating it. It's either it's kind of hard to really piece together the chronology of how things went down, but then there's a report that at some point the other hiker, Denis, he crouched behind a rock as Viktoriya and Timur, another hiker, both passed out while they were running, and they died similarly, ripping their clothes off, spitting up blood, and tearing at their throats. A few say that this is when Viktoriya actually bit Valentina, because apparently at some point Viktoriya bit Valentina because Valentina was really trying to get her to move down the mountain, because who knows what's happening on this mountain. They're just moving down and things are going out of hand, and it's all sounds like it looked like a horror movie, to be honest, on this crazy mountain. Denis, for a brief moment, snapped into his senses. I think at this point the only two people that were rational according to Valentina was herself and Denis, okay? So Denis kind of got into his senses, and I believe maybe all of the other hikers may have already succumbed to whatever, made them start bleeding from the eyes. So Denis told Valentina to grab her sleeping bag and supplies, because by the looks of it, they're not gonna come back up this mountain ever again, because it's some strange events that are taking place and their fellow hikers are dying. So before Valentina could reply to Denis that she had picked up her stuff and looked back at him, Denis started to collapse on the ground. He started bleeding and clawing at his throat. And there's also different reports stating that apparently Timur, Viktoriya, and Denis also bashed their heads on the ground and rocks. And also some say that Denis even fought Valentina when she tried to help him. So Valentina ended up fleeing the scene in fear, and she later set up camp and fell unconscious by the tree line down the mountain. She woke up the next morning and realized that in order to survive, she needs to go back up and collect the supplies from her fallen friends, and so returned to the area. She spent the next 4 days following the power lines down the mountain, hoping for someone to find her. Eventually, she stumbled upon a river and decided to follow the river. On the fourth day of her journey, the kayakers from Ukraine found and rescued her. The kayakers first passed her but decided to return. It seemed suspicious at first that the girl was not responding to the greetings. This was a pretty bizarre situation, as I understand. The kayakers at first passed Valentina and they greeted her, but she was not responding to them. And then they thought it's kind of bizarre, so they turned back and they kind of like started talking to her. But there is another report, and I specifically remember reading it. Some source stated that Valentina actually started shouting and panicking at them. So it's really hard to say which of these was the case. I don't really think it necessarily would help us to explain what happened to the hikers, but I will say,
Both were signs of trauma, to be honest.
yeah,
Like either one could have happened, but either it's A or B. It's like both signs that she experienced something terrifying.
oh, I definitely agree. And I was also going to mention this. By the sound, like how I was reading this story, it really feels like there isn't one clear cut answer to how things went down exactly. There always seems to be two variations of the story. You know, like there's either either everyone is, succumbing to some mysterious illness on the mountain one by one, or it's more clustered, like first Valentina tries to help someone, then she gets bit, then Valentina tries to help Denis, but Denis fights her. It's unclear how many people are bashing their heads into the rocks, and like honestly can't even imagine why would anyone do it. This sounds like a horror movie. Bashing your head into the rocks, can you imagine that?
I'm just thinking, I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. Like, in what situation will I try to bash my head in? Maybe when I am in an extreme amount of pain in my head and maybe I need to distract myself or something, or psychosis.
Yeah, right. That's the only thing I could also think of.
Yeah.
So the surviving girl, 17-year-old Valentina, she did not speak for several days. She was traumatized. The official search was conducted only on 24th of August. And I immediately have to ask, I don't know whom exactly, but maybe somebody could tell me, why did the search took so long? Because we're talking about a couple of weeks.
Oh, come on. This was Russia after Soviet Union.
That's true, but still, some institutions were definitely functioning. Apparently, the explanation might be that Valentina was not able to recount her version of events yet.
Oh yeah, maybe they really waited for her. Wait. So one second. The rescue began 2 weeks after Valentina was rescued, right?
Yes.
And in the first few days, she wasn't talking entirely.
Yes.
So that's like, let's say, 4 days immediately. And then when she started recounting it, maybe she had such a hard time. Maybe I would give her maybe 3 more days, I guess, and to recount where the location is at. I guess it makes sense.
For me, what is my takeaway? My takeaway is that can we completely believe Valentina's version of events?
What do you mean?
The way everyone died in quick succession on the mountain. Can we believe her to be not necessarily telling the truth? I believe she's telling the truth, but can we be 100% certain that she is not forgetting
Hiding something?
No, not hiding. Due to trauma, forgetting, and not even remembering
Certain events.
how quickly things escalated. Because right now the story is that everyone died within, by the sound of it,
Like seconds
or minutes.
apart. Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't like that.
But then again, it's such a tragic and terrifying event that I don't think she would even. I'm trying to put myself in her shoes. I don't think I'd remember. I don't even think I'd care about the minutes or the second or how long. It's just something horrific happening here and there. It's like.
But you would remember how quickly.
But she was under extreme trauma though, so I bet there were lapses.
Well, it definitely makes me question, can we actually go with her official account? So, when the rescuers got to the location, the scene was terrible. There were badly decomposing and bloated bodies. Almost all of the victims were dressed in thin leotards, and three of them were barefoot. So what happened on the plateau? Why, while freezing, the participants of the expedition took their shoes off? These questions remained unanswered.
And Valentina never really provided any explanation?
As far as I know, it was never provided.
Interesting.
So do you think it's basically paradoxical undressing?
You meant from like hypothermia?
Yeah, when you think your body is overheating, that's why you take off your shoes. Why would you take off your shoes otherwise?
When was this? When did they hike? Like which season?
So this was August.
August, so it's summer.
Summer, it's not, it should be. I don't know how warm it was. Usually it's pretty warm. I think they were caught in a pretty bad rainstorm.
Honestly, I don't think they would get hypothermia, even though it's the mountains, and I bet it's still like not the warmest during the summer season, especially in the morning. But I'm thinking more like maybe their shoes were drenched. And for me, it's nicer to walk barefoot than to put my feet in soggy shoes.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Or my feet are hurting so badly.
I was also thinking maybe they got like some sort of a weird itch.
Yeah,
Like
it could be too.
maybe all of them suffered some sort of a reaction, and their feet got itchy.
Yes,
You know?
potentially. I'm also kind of curious, like, how come Valentina, or maybe it wasn't really documented? She should know something about it,
She
no?
should know more.
Yeah.
This is
Like, were they even walking barefoot before the incident happened? Or what happened?
good. Good question.
She can only answer this question, you know?
Yeah. All of the dead hikers were found to have signs of bruised lungs. An autopsy carried out in another town concluded that Alexander, Tatiana, Denis, Viktoriya, and the last hiker, Timur, they have died of hypothermia, while Lyudmila, the instructor, died of a heart attack. And then protein deficiency due to malnutrition was listed as a contributing factor to their death. Though, to me, the official explanation of how they died and Valentina's account do not match up, because it feels like by the official account everyone should have died slowly one by one due to, honestly, by the sound of it, starvation. And then Lyudmila died due to a heart attack.
Do you think it's also possibly due to extreme weather temperatures, if that's the case?
Yeah, maybe.
Triggered her heart attack.
Yeah, that could be the case. The autopsy examinations ignored, or maybe they couldn't find, the symptoms of blood and claimed that hypothermia, signs of hypothermia and protein deficiency in the deceased members of the hiking group were the leading causes of death, though I don't think they ever found the proof of blood. But then again, this was weeks later. So would the blood still be there? I don't know.
Good point and good question.
Leonid Ismailov, former deputy head of the Transbaikal Regional Search and Rescue Service, said that the strangest thing is that the guys were wet and cold all night, even before the first death. But he didn't even try to warm up. Each of them had a sleeping bag and plastic film, but it remained untouched. Everything was dry and in their backpacks. And I just don't understand this. If they are completely drenched and cold during the night to the point where the following morning they will proceed to die due to hypothermia, why did they not use sleeping bags during the night and plastic film to kind of warm themselves up? The one thing that's kind of jumping into my mind right now is there a possibility that maybe it's a combination. It's a combination of, yes, they were in hypothermic, let's put it this way, scenario, but at the same time, they had some sort of toxic mushrooms or something like that, to the point where they were unknowingly high and they are not realizing that their bodies will shut down. But then I have a very hard time picturing how they all die from hypothermia within minutes, with eyes and ears bleeding out. It just doesn't, like hypothermia, you would die at your own individual timeline.
Yeah, but this one feels like
Everything
like
happened,
a domino, right?
Yeah.
One after the other. That's a very good question. I'm also kind of curious why Lyudmila is the leader, right?
Yeah.
Why she instructed the team to go down the tree line.
So she instructed to go down the tree line. They were already going down towards they were already descending the mountain when Alexander died.
Started convulsing and died, right?
And then basically what happened was Lyudmila told the rest of the hikers, keep going down.
Yeah, but why? Why not just like, okay, guys,
Let's just be
wait.
here. Let's figure out what's happening to us. I need help.
Yes. Why instruct them just go down the tree line? Like, it's kind of...
Like as if someone's on the mountain chasing them.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think about. Like, if, for example, there has been an emergency and it's an individual emergency, just an example. It's only Alexander or Timur. What's his name again?
Timur.
Timur. Okay, sorry. And he just suffered from a random heart attack in the mountain. And then Lyudmila was trying to revive him.
So the first one to die was Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
Not Timur.
So Alexander.
Yeah.
So when Lyudmila was trying to revive him, if it's just if she probably... Okay, I just find it's very suspicious. Like, why'd go down the tree line? If some random emergency like that happened, like, wouldn't it be like, okay, guys, let's figure it out. Let's regroup right now.
Maybe it's because some of the members were really young, and this was such an unexpected, crazy moment where Alexander started out of nowhere shouting and bleeding from his face. Maybe it looked like it could be something else than a regular.
Yeah.
Maybe it looked like it could, like it's unsafe to be around him. So maybe Lyudmila evaluated that it's most likely not safe for the
younger kids. Yeah.
Maybe that's what. Maybe it really looked so
bad.
So then that would make more sense. Maybe it wasn't just, oh, I fainted.
Yeah.
Maybe it really looked...
Team, help me out.
Yeah, maybe it looked really terrible, like a horror movie, to the point where she had no idea what's happening, and everyone's panicking, so she's trying to control the situation and told them to keep going.
I'm just curious, like, why keep going? Keep going down the tree line, wait for me at the tree line or something. But why just go down?
Maybe when Lyudmila said this, she didn't know that Alexander will die.
Yeah.
And she thought that maybe I could help him out and I will help him down the mountain eventually.
Or maybe she was thinking, you guys go find rescuers.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That also could be the case.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
probably not rescuers because...
they were too far.
Too far away from anything.
Yeah.
According to Valentina Utochenko, the surviving girl, before the fateful day, the day prior, they collected and dried golden root on the pass all day long. Golden root are basically leaves and shoots that are eaten raw. It's basically like this green thing that grows on the ground, and you could kind of like it's like edible. You could use it in, I don't know, maybe like a salad or something. So they were kind of picking stuff up from the environment. So it means that they were eating stuff they found along the way.
Yeah, and I wonder what's with the malnutrition. Weren't they supposed to be, since they were training for it for, like, as you mentioned earlier, months, shouldn't they have been more prepared for it?
Yeah, that's another good question. I don't know if they were low on food. It was never sort of explained. But by the sound of it, they were. So there's another person who came into the story a little bit. His name is Vladimir Zharov. He apparently is a well-known journalist, and he went to the location after the fact. He did his own investigation. So he said that the day was cold when the group was hiking, and he said that there was a strong wind, and he believes that the hikers were very cold and hungry. So he does say that the hikers were quite hungry. He said that the food, which was only enough for the so-called external heating of the body, did not save them from the cold. There were a number of other reasons. For example, many wondered why the group stopped on the slope and did not begin to climb to the top of the mountain, where there was a shelter. Remember, this is the day before they died, when they kind of made camp in an exposed location. So Vladimir Zharov said some people might find it strange because on top of that mountain there is a special camping platform that would have provided way better shelter from the wind and rain. There was firewood and a place to rest. And if they had continued for only 30 minutes more, they would have reached that way safer and way warmer location. But the group stopped on a bare slope. So, according to Vladimir Zharov, the cause could be the inaccuracy of the maps that they were using, because it was 1993. Maps were not as accurate as they are right now. The difference between what is on the map and what was in reality could be up to 100 meters, and in the mountains 100 meters is a lot, explains Vladimir Zharov. So this is some extra information for us.
Yeah. I'm still very curious at how prepared they were, honestly. Because it feels like Lyudmila was doing this for years and they were training for months, and by the sound of it, they're still underprepared.
I can't comment on that.
Yeah.
It is possible that the group leader, experienced Lyudmila Korovina, simply did not orient in the coming dusk. Or maybe she felt sorry for the tired guys and stopped without reaching the summit, blown by the winds. In the morning, Lyudmila saw that snow had fallen during the night. She was an experienced traveler and immediately realized what this threatens the freezing group. She gave orders to immediately turn around and go down to the edge of the forest. The guys did just that. They gathered things, rolled tents, and it was here that the tragedy occurred. In front of everyone, the oldest student, Alexander, suddenly fell and died. This was a shock. The hiker that died first was the strongest and oldest of the group. Alexander could make a fire and cut wood and help carry heavy things, support and help to the leader Lyudmila. It is not difficult to imagine what feelings overwhelmed Lyudmila herself at that moment. After all, she was responsible for the life of each member of the youth group. Lyudmila gave the orders, and the only right command at this point was to instruct all the hikers to immediately descend to the forest, but she herself remained close to Alexander's deceased body. What happened next is difficult to find out. The group of teenagers began an organized descent to the forest, but then they suddenly returned. Why? Were they called back by the leader, Lyudmila? Or did they decide not to abandon her on their own accord? But what the children saw threw them in horror. The team leader died in front of their eyes as well. Lyudmila was now dead. Further actions, guys, are shrouded in mystery. So what they did, I guess. The forums online say that the teenagers have fallen into despair. Only Valentina, the sole survivor, attempted to take control of the group. She did not lose her composure. She tried to reassure her friends and demanded to follow the last order of their leader to go to the forest. She tried dragging them by their hands. Apparently, they did not obey her. She realized that all her actions were useless. She went to the edge of the forest alone. In the morning, she discovered that all of the members of the group were dead. Inspection of the place of the incident said that the cause of death was hypothermia, and Vladimir Zharov, the guy who gave this account, agrees with this verdict. So I guess
that could be the case.
Yeah, I guess there's more information here, but it's still quite hard for me to believe that they all died due to her hypothermia immediately. Maybe
that's true.
Maybe it's possible.
And can hypothermia make you bleed from the inside out?
I never heard about it.
Yeah, me too.
So after everything went down, there were multiple theories that have been proposed to explain what caused the hiker's death. Rescuers who went to find the bodies, Valery Tatarnikov and Vladimir Zinov, they took part in the search operation for the bodies. They claimed that it was impossible for the hikers to die of cold. Vladimir
It was the summer,
yeah,
but then again, there were rainstorms before.
it was unexpectedly cold. Vladimir Zinov, the guy who went on the rescue team, suggested that they may have died due to altitude sickness. A tourist, Vladimir Borzhenkov, and member of the search operation, Nikolai Fedorov, suggested that the hikers went mad due to infrasounds. Remember, infrasounds were also suggested as a possible explanation to what happened to Dyatlov Pass incident hikers. So the leader of the search operation, Yuri Golius, he blamed the death on Lyudmila Korovina's negligence. The leader of the search party claimed that Lyudmila was in fact starving her students, which caused them to have vitamin deficiency. So
Vitamin deficiency.
Deficiency.
Like, how long were they on this hike?
several days,
But is it
And,
enough to?
maybe given the extreme weather
Circumstance, yeah.
conditions. Also, in 2018, many years after the incident, for the paper called Komosovskaya Pravda, Valentina, the sole survivor, this is more years later than she had been alive for at the time of her the incident. Because at this point in 2018, or she must have been, I'm just gonna shoot because I'm not gonna do the math.
17.
I would say like 40 plus at this point. She came back and she denied the theory that Lyudmila was responsible. But this is many years after the fact. And she believes that what happened to the hikers was pulmonary edema.
Okay, what is that?
It's a situation where water fills up in certain human organs where there's usually just an open space, like for example the lungs, and it makes breathing impossible, and certain other outcomes happen when you suffer.
How did she survive though then? Because everyone
Perhaps she didn't get it. So
everyone seemed to have died in the same manner.
yes, well, Lyudmila just died officially of a heart attack.
In the same, but yeah, kind of like in the same manner at the same time, or the same span of
Yes,
minutes.
according to Valentina's story. So what would happen if someone has a pulmonary edema? So there would be severe breathing difficulty, which kind of matches up with Valentina's account. There would be coughing and vomiting blood. Rapid collapse is also possible if low oxygen levels, and also possible confusion and agitation. Irrational behavior could also happen. However, this theory does not explain the bleeding from the eyes, which is not a typical symptom of pulmonary edema.
Yeah.
Convulsions also are not common. Tearing off your clothes, removing your shoes, and bashing your heads against the rock is not a sign of pulmonary edema, and also it does not develop at the same time for everyone. It would be an individual timeline that this would occur. So according to Valentina, everything happened so quickly, but the chances of everyone developing the same fatal outcome of pulmonary edema within minutes is, I would say, not a possibility.
Yeah, whatever happened there, it seemed like something, I don't know, got into them and uniformly killed them.
So there's another theory, and it could be hypothermia.
Just hypothermia.
The first explanation that was proposed, and the official explanation, that the hikers died in the way that the autopsy recalled, by succumbing to hypothermia after not being properly sheltered the night before. In severe hypothermia, there may be hallucinations and paradoxical undressing in which a person removed their clothing, which would explain why the hikers were found partially undressed. Certain parts of Valentina's story could have been unintentionally exaggerated by herself due to the fact that the people who undergo a traumatic experience often misremember details of it. So, in the hypothermia scenario, the hikers did die, but perhaps they did not die in such quick succession. Maybe they died slowly, and perhaps Valentina completely forgot the real way everyone died, and maybe in her brain, since it's such a big trauma, she subconsciously doesn't want to remember the whole thing, so she just squished everything into like a 5-minute span.
Yeah, or maybe since it was already a traumatic event and they weren't in a city or anything, it was harder to keep track of time, and so for her maybe it was quicker than how it actually happened, you know?
Could be also, yeah. I mean, I guess it's possible. Another theory suggests that they have stumbled upon a Russian military experiment conducted in the mountains, kind of similar to Dyatlov Pass speculation. And in such a scenario, they would be killed due to some sort of an experiment. And due to its, nature of being a secret Russian military experiment, this would be a cover-up. And the theory was deemed incredible due to and not possible because the location is a public area with many people traveling through it during the tourist season. So why would they be doing military experiments in a public location? I honestly don't think this isn't the right explanation. But there was another interesting theory that this could have been caused by nerve agents, because the symptoms described by the surviving Valentina Utochenko resemble death by nerve agents. In particular, the frothing at the mouth and convulsing match death by strong nerve agents. The bruising of the lungs could also be a sign of death by nerve gas, as contact may cause respiratory distress. It can also cause cardiac arrest, matching Lyudmila's cause of death. Novichok is a family of nerve agents developed by Soviet Union and Russia up to 1993, coincidentally up until the same year when the incident took place. Novichok is considered to be the deadliest nerve agent to exist, were reportedly tested in areas near Khamar Daban, and Novichok is used by the Russian government to this day, I believe, because there was a Russian national, Skripal, who has been, I believe, murdered by, it says, Russian government, who had sent hitmen with Novichok. So it's something that is used up to this day, in theory. certain types of nerve agents can linger in the air and soil for extended periods. Apparently, rainwater can interact with these agents. So, if there was some Novichok tests in the location and there was heavy rain, the rain could potentially reactivate the nerve agent, even though there was a festival in the area and there were people passing by. Some nerve gases can remain dangerous for months, so it's possible that the military conducted testing earlier in the year, thought that it would dissipate on its own, but the nerve gas, it never dissipated. This could explain the delay in recovering the bodies. Perhaps authorities were waiting for the gas levels to drop to a safe range. It also is possible that they instructed the coroner to attribute the death to hypothermia to cover up the real cause of death. And the only flaw in this theory is Valentina's survival, because if it was truly nerve gas, it is quite unclear why she did not die.
Maybe because she managed to get under the tree line in the right time. Maybe she was the only one who was out of the danger zone.
But she was bitten by Viktoriya.
Would it be transferred by saliva or something?
And Viktoriya died shortly after.
Would that have an effect then?
I think by the sound of it, she should also be infected.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just thinking that maybe adrenaline was pumping, like right after she was bitten, she still kept on running and running and running.
But I do believe if you're hit by Novichok, you will die. There's no outrunning it.
Okay.
You know, you will die.
This is something very unfamiliar to me, so not really sure how that works or how it would work.
Because everyone died. So, and she was close to everyone. So if it was that, I think she would have died also. So I do think that this is potentially another explanation.
Yeah.
Another explanation would be that the nearby Lake Baikal, and you know Lake Baikal, have you heard about it? Lake Baikal? It is the deepest lake in the world.
Yes.
It's the biggest freshwater source in the world. And apparently, it is known to be a toxic waste dumping ground for Russia. If the waste was really washed downstream, the hikers may have drank the toxins in the water. Some toxins might not have been visible in standard toxicology reports. So if the group was hiking, they would have needed to replenish their water source regularly. It's possible that Valentina was more conservative with her water and did not refill at the last stop. If the Russian government had dumped toxic chemicals far upstream, this could explain how the rest of the group was poisoned. Alternatively, the poisoning could have occurred during bathing, because maybe they were bathing in the water as well. It's also worth considering that Valentina's recollection of the timeline might be unreliable. Once the first person collapsed and died, the trauma could have distorted her sense of time. What she remembered as 7 minutes between death might in reality have been hours. Under extreme psychological stress, memory can become jumbled, with events recalled out of sequence.
I do agree with that. I do agree that her account alone would be unreliable. I'm not saying that she was lying or something, but the trauma inflicted by the event could really distort the sense of time and reality for her.
I'm starting to lean towards this. Not necessarily the poisoning, but the fact that she never gave us the real explanation, because she was alone following power lines for 4 days. That just gave me chills.
I
4
have no
days
idea how
following power lines
all alone.
in this place where there's bears, snow leopards, and maybe even Siberian tigers. And you are all alone for days.
Insane.
Another theory suggests that the hikers may have hallucinated and got sick due to mushroom poisoning. Lyudmila was known to be a collector, and she taught the art of collecting mushrooms to her students. One of the hikers may have accidentally added poisonous mushrooms to their breakfast. They could have also been hallucinogenic mushrooms. In very rare cases, an overdose of muscarine and ibotenic acid, most common in amanita mushrooms. It says amanita mushrooms, may have caused psychosis, convulsions, cardiac arrest, and sent the person into coma. So the destroying angel and death cap mushrooms can look similar to another edible mushrooms when they are not fully matured, such as the young paddy, straw, and button mushrooms. And I think this is a possibility, why not, that one of the hikers accidentally picked poisonous mushrooms, mistaking them for the good ones.
I still really wonder why Valentina was the only one who survived.
She could have not eaten them.
Yeah, but she was the only one who didn't eat.
And why would she not connect the dots after the years? Oh, they all ate the mushrooms.
Yeah, and why didn't she give any information about this?
It feels like she should have connected the dots.
Yeah,
already.
she should have said, "Oh, yes, I was the only one who didn't eat that soup that day."
Yeah, like it's pretty. Unless her mind is completely.
Yeah, but like with all of these information given to her, she could have just confirmed like, "Oh yeah, I was the only one who didn't swim in that lake. I was the only one who didn't eat that stew in the morning." It could have been easy, but it seemed like whatever happened there, she had no explanation for it.
We have a couple more theories. Another one would be cyanide bombs. Okay, there's a possibility that there could have been spring-loaded sodium cyanide devices, similar to certain wolf or bear traps. So I did not know that cyanide bombs were a thing, but this is basically a trap intended to kill the wildlife animals. Essentially, there is bait stuck on a cyanide bomb, and once an animal eats that bait, a cyanide bomb will explode and the animal will die very quickly. It's supposed to be, according to the description, inhumane way to kill wildlife animals. The symptoms of cyanide poisoning match some of the reported signs in the death: difficulty breathing, convulsions, foaming at the mouth, and a bluish skin tone. In the given context, this discoloration might easily be mistaken by hypothermia. If someone attempted to give the initial victim who fallen due to a cyanide bomb CPR, they could have unintentionally ingested the poison themselves. However, it's uncertain whether there would have been enough time for undressing to occur in such scenario. When the trap is triggered, there is usually a noticeable small explosion as the cyanide is released. This detail might be memorable to anyone nearby. So it's strange that, Valentina does not recall any explosions happening.
Mm-hmm.
Cyanide should also be detectable during an autopsy if toxicology tests are performed. It's an interesting theory, but I guess it just was never mentioned. And I would say maybe Valentina would remember like bombs going off.
Definitely. This is one of those events, like I said, like, oh, I was the only one who did not eat that stew that day. This one is way more memorable than the stew or breakfast or something. So I bet if that happened, she would for sure remember it.
She did remember certain details about that whole situation. Like, she did remember that she got bit. She remembered that someone was crouching under the rock.
Yeah.
She remembers that, Lyudmila instructed them to go down. So she remembers things. I think if there was a bomb, she would have remembered.
Definitely.
And the last theory, the most, I would say, conspiratorial theory would be that we just have to mention this because, the nature of our podcast, we just kind of have to talk about everything here, that Valentina could have been a serial killer. And the explanation here would be potentially that maybe, she didn't get along with perhaps someone from the group, maybe the instructor. And
She was 17.
Exactly. So I was just gonna mention it.
But then again, like, if we're, of course, we're not like victim blaming or anything, we're just trying to.
No, the thing is, I would be shocked if this was the explanation.
Me too. But if we're trying to explore that possibility, then the only explanation that I could think of, with her being the culprit, is that she was the one who poisoned everyone.
Yeah, I think that would be the explanation.
But then again, why in the middle of nowhere? And she had to survive all on her own in the wilderness filled with deadly animals and deadly nature. She had to follow power lines and river. I don't think it was smart if she was the culprit to do it like in the middle of nowhere.
I will say, to me, it seems unlikely.
Same.
I don't know what to actually make of this case. I do think the only thing I will say is that, to me, the only thing I could actually rationally think about it, and to kind of like that, one thing that makes sense to me is that Valentina probably doesn't remember
The whole thing.
the whole thing.
Yes, I do have one theory, but I did a little bit of research and I came across this, but then again, it was shot down with further research and also our good friend ChatGPT, because there was a disaster that happened in Cameroon Islands. Basically, do you know something about the Lake Nyos?
In Cameroon?
Yeah.
So in Africa?
Yes.
No, I don't.
So basically, there was some sort of carbon dioxide released
Explosion. I've heard about it.
from a lake.
I've heard about it.
There was some sort of like CO2 that descended by the nearby valleys, and the villagers died of inhaling it, basically.
Yeah.
And I thought, hey, they were also by the lake, and it seemed like from the story all of them just collapsed above the tree line. Maybe there's something up there. But then again, after further research and also ChatGPT, it got shut down because apparently, give me a second here.
Lake Baikal doesn't produce CO2.
Yeah, or it's like, wait. Lake Nyos was a natural geological disaster, blah blah blah, and caused large-scale CO2 displacement and asphyxiation in nearby villages. Meanwhile, our case today involved rapid violent symptoms, bleeding, convulsions, and it's not consistent with asphyxiation, sorry if I butchered that word, by CO2. And it occurred in a high-altitude mountain range with no known volcanic crater lake nearby that would produce such gas release. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that incident in Cameroon. I did hear about it. I kind of forgot already the details of it, but yeah. Seems like...
I'm not sure if it's the same story, but I heard about, like, there was a villager who got spooked out about what happened, and then he ran and climbed up a tree or something, and then He came back the next day, and basically he was the only one who survived. I'm not sure if this was that case, but I heard something about it.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I will say about this theory is that there were more hiking people, more groups, and Lake Baikal is massive.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of like little towns and settlements around it.
Yeah, but
So
like Lake Nyas also had some villages around it.
yeah.
But then again, there was no volcanic activity over there in Lake Baikal.
No, but I'm saying Lake Baikal, when the people the closest to the lake,
Oh.
because the lake is completely surrounded by inhabitants. So wouldn't they get hit?
That's true. That's true. Definitely. It wouldn't be such an isolated case.
Yeah, it would be something bigger. I would say at this point I would like to leave it at that because I don't know what happened here.
I would vote for something like poisoning. It seems like. Because for me, just my personal take on it, personal opinion, it feels like the foaming, the internal bleeding, it feels kind of like similar or in line with poisoning. I'm not sure if it's the contaminated water is very like convincing for me. Like they may have drunk mountain water that was contaminated by chemicals.
And then Valentina was the one who didn't drink.
Yes. And apparently protein deficiency, which I also googled, could align with toxic indigestion.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I'm not sure, are there any Soviet military bases near Lake Baikal? Since it's the biggest lake water, I think there should be.
I don't know about it. But yeah.
But yeah, so I'm kind of convinced more it's something that has to do with what they ingested there that's contaminated. And the fact that they haven't eaten for days, they were malnourished, and they may have drank something contaminated, might have been the tipping point.
But Valentina was the one who just didn't necessarily drink that water, and somehow over the years she wasn't able to connect the dots that she didn't drink it.
Yeah, that's true. And the fact that from her stories it seemed like a domino, it all happened at once, still doesn't explain the contamination of water. Shouldn't it be like, I don't know.
And what kind of a contamination would make you bleed from your eyes?
Chemical.
You think so?
That's what I think. Something poisonous definitely dropped into a stream of water there. But then again, it really doesn't explain the domino effect. Like, did they just drink water all at the same time and drop dead?
I'm not confident by any of these explanations.
Yeah, me too.
But maybe someone in our from our audience could share some thoughts. I think it was an interesting topic to talk about. Really unfortunate death of these hikers. They were just having fun. They did what
It's
they
really
liked.
crazy. Yeah, it's really crazy how Dyatlov Pass in this case, we're considering military and the government. It's just pretty insane to me. Like, oh, was there something happening there that's a cover up, you know?
I think maybe it's valid to think that way.
Definitely. No, definitely. I just find it interesting.
Because Soviet Union was very secretive.
Extremely. And even Russia these days.
Yeah, and Russia, right after Soviet Union collapsed, it was still kind of like the same people who were running Soviet Union secret services. They were still there, just now running the Russian secret services.
Yeah.
So I think it's valid to think that way.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just trying to say, like, if this was any other place, there probably wouldn't be.
you think there would be more like what's the word I'm looking for? It would be more transparent.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
And also diet. There's a joke that everything's a hypothermia.
Yeah, this hypothermia thing really feels like a cover up.
It's happened apparently in Diet Love. It happened now.
Diet Love kinda a little bit more convincing than this. A 17-year-old Valentina survived for 4 days, but everyone else died of hypothermia.
Maybe she had better clothing or something. Yeah, but good thoughts. I would say let's leave it here and let's let our audience do the thinking now.
Yes,
And
let us know what you think, guys.
We'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast.
See you very soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.